What's up YouTube? I am Eric and you are watching Retro Video Game Pickups. In this video we are talking about Nintendo 64 games that I'm nostalgic for, but they kind of sucked. I got 5 right here that I'm going to talk to you guys about, so if you like games, consoles, or product reviews, please consider subscribing and hitting that bell notification. With that being said, let's hop into it. Okay, so I was thinking about what I wanted to do with this, and then I was over here looking down at the Nintendo 64 stuff, and I figured I've got a ton of games that are on the Nintendo 64 that I'm just nostalgic for. So I went through and picked some out through here. I've got a ton of them, and I decided I was going to talk about 5 of those. So in this video, I'm just going to go ahead and skip to that right now. I'm going to show you each one of these 5 games, and then we are going to actually go through and talk about them and let you know kind of how I've got them in my game collection and all that stuff. But I wanted to kind of like just kind of relax and talk about some games that I loved as a child that I'm nostalgic for, but the games just aren't really that good. Okay, so my first one has got to be Monster Truck Madness 64. Now, when this game came out, I ended up getting it and I played it and I played the crap out of it. This is a great game for multiplayer. Back in the early 2000s when I picked this up, I want to say like 2000, 2001, I was playing this game and I was a kid and I was like, this is an awesome game. My favorite was the Rumble match, which is essentially a wrestling ring, and you have 4 trucks and you try to stay on top of the wrestling ring as long as possible, kind of like King of the Hill kind of type thing. But you can play multiplayer, and that is one of those things that just made this game what it was to me. It elevated it. Now when it came to the racing, I thought it was an okay racing game back then, but it wasn't like my favorite racing game. This was a get on top of the wrestling mat and try to piss off all my friends and all that stuff. But honestly, going back and playing this, it's just lost its feel. The races are absolutely terrible. The graphics are just rough Nintendo 64 graphics. But the wrestling match is a little bit of fun still. They do have like hockey or soccer as well on this, and those were okay. They're not the best. They're kind of hard to control, like really slick and everything. But I mean, I love this game as a kid and I remember it fondly and I played so much of it. And so I figured this had to be talked about. This is one of those games that I have a great memory of playing it. Me and my dad played this. We did the wrestling so much, but it just kind of falls flat today. And so that's kind of why it sucks now. So this next one is a sports game, and honestly, sports games when I was younger, I thought they were awesome. And then nowadays I turn them on and I'm like, how in the world did I play this? How did people play basketball games from the Super Nintendo or the Nintendo 64? Like, I just didn't understand it. Like, I understand it's a fun thing to do, but like, they're not good. They're not fun. Now, NBA Jam is a different story, but these like technical games just kind of fell flat, and that is why we're talking about Kobe Bryant in NBA Courtside. Now, when this came out, Kobe Bryant was at the top of his peak. This was when the Los Angeles Lakers were winning championship after championship, and I loved this game. I thought it was so much fun. I enjoyed running up and down the court, playing it. I got good at this game. I played this game a lot, and honestly, it was a fun game. But revisiting it now, it's just like, I don't even want to plug this in and revisit it anymore. Like, yes, I'll play a game or two, but it's not enjoyable. It kind of sucks. For what it was on the 64, I'm not gonna give it crap too much, but it did kind of suck. It's not a great looking game. It doesn't function well. They even made a second one, and so I think this is one of those games that I fondly remember, but I don't think this is one of those games that people play and are like, yeah, I love that game. But for me, sports games on this console, for some reason, I played them a lot when I was a kid. You'll see more of that in the the video, but I played this a lot, and it's okay. Okay, so we're gonna have a little bit of a story time here. Yes, this is another sports game, and I think the sports game just kind of failed on the 64, like, to hold up to time. They just don't hold up well, and I mean, there's a few that are good, but like, when I think about them, I think of other consoles. So, I got a story about this one, and that is because I remember going into Toys R Us with birthday money and going and picking this game out. Why I picked this game out, I cannot tell you for the life of me. I remember there were so many games. For some reason, this story or this memory is stuck with me, and I remember vividly going into this Toys R Us and like looking at games, and I settled on this, and I don't understand it. But I played the crap out of it as a kid, and it is what it is now, and that is Mia Hamm's Soccer 64. Now, a lot of people didn't play this. A lot of people back in the day didn't know what Mia Hamm's Soccer was, and I understood it. But for whatever reason, when I was younger, I ended up picking this up. Now, I absolutely loved playing this game. I would play this so much, just playing by myself. It's actually a pretty fun soccer game, but I mean, it doesn't hold up to today's standards, and so that's why this one is on this list. I'm really nostalgic for it. I remember that story of going to Toys R Us. I remember coming home and playing it for hours on end. But nowadays, if I plug this in and play it, it's not going to be for more than like 1 or 2 games. It's one of those things that it's a soccer game, and that's about it. It's nothing fancy. It's nothing crazy or creative. It's just a soccer game on the 64. And so I think that's why this has to be on this list. It is a game that can be played well, but it's nothing like anything out of the ordinary or anything great. And so I think that's why I'm nostalgic for it, but it falls into the cracks of it kind of sucks. So that's why I'm talking about it. This game is one of those games that I played so much as a kid, but now I pick it up and try to play this or kind of any of these series on the 64, and I'm just kind of let down. Now, if you've watched this channel before, I've talked about this game before, and that the pizza place in my town when I was young had this game as an arcade machine, and that is Cruisin Exotica. And there was nothing better to go and sit down and play that game behind the racing wheel on the arcade, and then being able to come home and play it on my console, on my Nintendo 64, at home in front of the TV. But the thing is, it's not a great game. Like, I remember all the tracks and it being crazy and fun, but if I try to boot this up now, I'm just like, okay, I don't really want to play this. If I'm gonna play a racing game, it's probably gonna be like Beetle Adventure or Hot Wheels Turbo Racing. On the 64, I'm not gonna go to a Cruisin just because I think they're okay at best games. I think this one was the best out of the 3, just because of the weird maps, the exotic cars, and kind of all that different stuff. But honestly, it's not a very good game. It's a racing game. It's okay at best, and I mean, it just falls short. I remember the graphics, for some reason, I thought they were amazing, and nowadays, after we've been spoiled with everything that comes out on the Xbox One or the PS4, I feel like these graphics are nothing. And so, like, for me, this is a fun game to think about when I was a kid and playing it, but I just don't have fun playing this game. I'm gonna play another racing game on the 64 instead of this one for sure. I quite possibly kept the worst game for the last position, and I think this is one of those games that it blows me away that there are 4 different renditions of this game. I have the NFL Quarterback Club 99 in my hand, but they made a 98, a 99, a 2000, and a 2001, all with Brett Favre on the front. Now, this is kind of funny to me. Now, I was a kid, and I was a Green Bay Packers fan, and Brett Favre was huge for the franchise back then. And so, whenever they did it with the first one, I was like, oh, I gotta have it. But then the next year, they came out with the next one, and then all basically they did was update the roster, and that was about it for these games, in my opinion. But this is still a game like I'm nostalgic for. I played this so much, whether it's 98, 99, 2000, 2001. They're all the same in my book, and that's why I'm only talking about this one. I literally just grabbed one. I didn't realize if it was 98, 99, or 2000 or 2001, because they're all the same, like I said. But this is one of those games that I remember playing and sitting down, playing for hours, going through the tournaments, going through exhibitions, playing the seasons, having fun with this game, and nowadays it's just ridiculous. Now, if you make it to halftime, the cheerleaders even come out onto the field and cheer, which absolutely is hilarious and funny and looks ridiculous. But this game was one that I remember playing and loved it when I was a kid. So that's why I have nostalgia for this game. Do I think it's good? Absolutely not. I do not like when they make sports games that are basically the same year in, year out. And so that's why I don't pick up many of like the Madden or the NFL. I guess Madden is NFL. NBA or NHL or any of those, like the FIFA games, the baseball ones. I skip most of those, and apparently this is one of the early versions where they were doing that, and so I wanted to talk about it. It's a terrible football game, and if you pick it up, you're probably not going to enjoy it, but it's really dirt cheap, so if you do enjoy it, that's cool, it's cheap, and if you don't, it's also cheap, so you don't really have to worry about it. But that is the last game, because honestly, I think this is the worst out of it that I'm nostalgic for. Okay, so I have talked about these games. I want to know what you guys think. Comment down below and let me know what you think of these games. I have so many memories from the Nintendo 64, and these are some of those games that I played as a kid and was like, wow, these are super fun or super great. And nowadays I'm like, wow, what was I thinking? So I want to know what you guys think. Comment down below and let me know. Did you play any of these games, and did you find them fun, or do you find them fun now? No shame if you find them fun. That's totally welcome here. Some of these games I could still find enjoyment out of, but I think the hype has kind of died down for me. So I want to know what you think about those games. I want to say thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell notification. That way you know when I post more videos, which is every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And honestly, guys, thank you so much. I've been working on all these videos and having so much fun. So I wanted to thank you one last time. Make sure you stay safe, practice social distancing. Things are getting crazy again, so practice social distancing, wash your hands, wear a face mask if you go out, be respectful of others and all that stuff. So, one last time, thank you so much for watching, and make sure you have a good day.